Released in 2010, Resident Evil. Afterlife represents a major stylistic shift for the franchise. Directed by Paul W. S. Anderson, the film embraces 3D spectacle and heightened action aesthetics while loosely adapting elements from Resident Evil 5. This entry marks the point where the series fully commits to stylized blockbuster action over survival horror. Milla Jovovich returns as Alice, now stripped of her superhuman powers at the film's outset. Jovovich delivers a controlled, stoic performance, though the character remains emotionally distant, functioning more as a symbolic force than a fully developed individual. Ali Larter reprises her role as Claire Redfield, bringing continuity and a grounded presence, even when her arc is limited. Wentworth Miller makes his franchise debut as Chris Redfield, offering physical credibility and restrained intensity. Sean Roberts introduces Albert Wesker in a more prominent role, embodying corporate arrogance and cold authority, though the character's potential is only partially realized. Afterlife is unmistakably designed as a 3D experience. Anderson stages action sequences with exaggerated depth, slow motion, and carefully composed visual beats intended to emphasize scale and impact. The film's central location, the Arcadia prison, provides a confined setting that briefly echoes survival horror tension, but this atmosphere is frequently interrupted by large-scale action set pieces. The use of slow motion is excessive, often prioritizing visual flair over narrative urgency. While technically polished, the emphasis on spectacle occasionally undermines tension, making encounters feel choreographed rather than dangerous. Narratively, Resident Evil. Afterlife is thin and episodic. The story largely functions as connective tissue between action sequences, focusing on regrouping, brief confrontations, and setup for future installments. Character motivations are minimal, and emotional stakes remain underdeveloped. Albert Wesker portrayal feels like a weaker portrayal to how powerful Wesker meant to be. Although Alice's temporary loss of powers introduces potential vulnerability, the film rarely capitalizes on it. Horror elements are sparse, and zombies serve more as obstacles than threats. The film leans heavily into franchise mythology without offering meaningful progression. Where the film could have improved is a greater restraint in visual style, particularly the overuse of slow motion, would have allowed action scenes to feel more immediate and dangerous. A stronger focus on character relationships, especially between Alice, Claire, and Chris, could have added emotional grounding. Additionally, making Wesker a more psychologically complex antagonist might have elevated the narrative beyond surface-level confrontation. For general audiences, Afterlife delivers slick, visually striking action that aligns with early 2010s blockbuster trends. Fans of stylized combat and comic book pacing may find it entertaining. For longtime fans of the games, however, the film continues to drift away from survival horror, puzzle solving, and tension, embracing instead a glossy action identity that feels increasingly detached from the franchise's roots. Film rating 5.5 out of 10. A visually ambitious but narratively shallow sequel that prioritizes spectacle over suspense or character depth. Final thoughts. Resident Evil, Afterlife, 2010, solidifies the franchise's transformation into a high-style action series. While it introduces striking imagery and familiar characters, it does so at the expense of tension, horror, and emotional investment. Remember to like and subscribe, because once the virus evolves, survival becomes just another visual effect.
You hold me, baby.